Okay, so I think we'll start. Hare Krishna. Welcome to our Kirtan and Satsang evening today on the auspicious occasion of Ganesh Chaturthi. And some people have celebrated yesterday, some people are actually celebrating today. So today is very auspicious. And I wanted to actually quickly mention why we are doing this. So the Shastras say that Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Hare Nam eva kevalam, Kalau nasti eva, nasti eva, nasti eva gati anyatha. So in the Kali Yuga, in which everything is going haywire, you just have to look around you and you'll see, pandemic, you'll see California fires, you'll see a lot of, government disagreements, a lot of things topsy-turvy. And also not only outside but even at home within ourselves we feel conflicted, and we are looking for some higher ideal, we are looking for higher peace. And the Shastras are shouting at the top of their lungs from the treetops that the answer is Harinam, the easy answer is Harinam Sankirtan, which we will be attempting to do today. Padma Puran also says that Namno hi yavati shakti pap nirharanam hare tavat kartum na shaknoti patakam pataki naraha. That even the most fallen person cannot commit that much sin that the holy name cannot counteract. And so when we do Kirtan, the activities of Shravanam and Kirtanam, repetition, and then Smaranam, they are automatically taken care of. So Shravanam, Kirtanam, Shravanam, these are the top three activities of the various parts of Bhakti. So this is why this process has been inaugurated and also championed by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the Kali Yuga, who was Krishna himself in the mood of Radharani. And this treasure he actually kept with him at, very secretly. Chaitanya Charitamrita says that Chirat adattam nija gupta vittam. So this was a very, very secret treasure that he has kept with him. Chirat adattam, he never gave it to anyone. But apamarat, even the most fallen, yo vitatar, who distributed Gaur Krishna janebhya, to the general populace, Gaur Krishna, he distributed it. Tamaham prabhadya, we surrendered to that great personality. So, without further ado, I will like to invite Vrinda and Gaura and their parents for leading Kirtan, and then we will have Bhagavad Gita class. I have unmuted you. Yeah, please go ahead.
Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shanyavadi Paschatya Deshataya Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasant
Hari Bol. Well, that was wonderful. Just fantastic. I think, I've regained all my energy since the morning. And so please don't go away because we will have another round of Kirtan with Vrinda and Gora after the Bhagavad Gita class. And now I would like to actually, we will have a class on Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam by His Grace Vrindavan Priya Prabhu. And I will unmute him now.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, Prabhu. Sound is good.
Okay, Jai. Thank you. So let's recite 3 times. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Okay, today I thought I'll speak something from the Srimad Bhagavatam. So, first canto, 19th chapter. This chapter describes about the appearance of Shukdev Goswami. So, most of the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, this great transcendental literature, sets the scene for the Srimad Bhagavatam to be spoken. It gives us the history of the Mahabharat war, a little bit what happened after the war, the leaving of in the passing away of Bhishma Dev, and then it introduces the history and the narration about Maharaj Parikshit, what happens to him in the womb of Uttara, and then when he comes out after the Pandavas retired, how they hand him over the entire reign of the dynasty, and how he's ruling, and how he meets the age of Kali, and so on, and finally towards the end of the first canto, we hear the incident where when he was returning from a trip in the forest, he was extremely thirsty and visited the hermitage of a sage, but the sage was in deep meditation, and not recognizing that, out of anger, when he was not well received and not offered any water or any other welcome, he got angry and hung a dead snake around the sage's neck and walked away. So immediately after that incident, when he heads back to his kingdom, being a great devotee of the Lord, he already knows that he has done something really wrong, and on the way back he's thinking to himself that due to neglecting the injunctions of the Supreme Lord, I must certainly expect some difficulty to overcome me in the near future, and he's fully prepared to meet it. He does not aim to counteract it, or he does not want to somehow try to minimize its influence, but he's in the mood that he says, I now desire without reservation that calamity may come now, for in this way I may be freed from the sinful action and not commit such an offense again. So he's already prepared to meet whatever calamity that is about to come because of his actions. So he's actually a very God conscious and a very pious ruler, a king, and he's actually fully situated in protection of Brahmanical culture, preservation of God consciousness, and also cow protection. There is also a chapter which is dedicated to how Maharaj Parikshit protects the cows and the bull from them being slaughtered by the personification of Kali. So he is actually very righteous and the right king to serve and to rule over the kingdom, but it is just the influence of time and the beginning of Kali Yuga that these incidents are meant to happen. And then and then basically, most importantly, how the Srimad Bhagavatam, setting the scene for Srimad Bhagavatam to be spoken by Shukadev Goswami. So these are things that are happening by the influence of time. So when the king was repenting in this manner, although he's a very righteous and a pious king, he's actually thinking that, I'm a great sinful person, and because of that I was overcome with anger or wrath, and I insulted this Brahmana in this manner. So just at that time, when he was repenting in this manner, he heard the news that the son of that Brahmana whom he had insulted or humiliated, he has cursed Maharaj Parikshit to die from a bite of a snake bird, and that snake bird would come and bite him in 7 days from now. So he is basically all set to die, and he actually, when he hears this, he actually accepts this as good news. So nobody in the ordinary course of life, unless they are situated in some kind of transcendental consciousness, they would accept the news of their own death as good news. I think nobody would ever do that unless one is in this special frame of mind where one is God conscious and also has complete full cognizance of the one's duties and how the laws of nature work. So if one has committed some sinful activity, then automatically it is to be expected that some influence, some reaction of that is going to come soon in future. So he is a highly elevated soul, and he basically receives this as good news. So he actually feels very relieved. He doesn't have to carry the burden of the sinful act that he has committed, and he quickly goes and sits down on the banks of the Ganges and begins to concentrate his mind in Krishna consciousness. So he is a devotee right from the beginning, right from the womb of his mother, where he got a very special darshan of the Lord. The Lord actually took a special form to protect him from the Brahmastra. So right from that point, he is actually always searching, always looking for that darshan, and also looking forward to serve the Lord. And he's also the grandson of the Pandavas, so he's situated in the same dynasty, same family, and also same mood of service as the Pandavas were to Lord Krishna. So this river is actually glorified here at this point in the 19th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam. It is said that he sits down on the bank of this Ganges. And why sit on the bank of the Ganges? Because its water is most auspicious. It is not an ordinary river flowing, just somewhere, but it is that water which is mixed with the dust of the lotus feet of the Lord, and also it washes the lotus feet on which tulsi leaves are offered. Because of this factor, this water sanctifies all of three worlds. And we also hear later on in Srimad Bhagavatam how the Ganges actually flows through the three worlds, and how it even enters the Bhumandala, and it comes to manifestation on this particular planet. So it is said that it sanctifies even Lord Shiva and all the other demigods, and because of this reason, because the river is so auspicious, everyone who is destined to die must take shelter of this river. So that is the reason why, even if final rites are performed to people who pass away, their remains are later on taken, and they are immersed in the Ganges. So the idea is that the one who passes away and who takes shelter of the river, they'll definitely get an auspicious destination. So in this mood, he goes to the bank of the Ganges and he decides to fast until death, so that he can rid himself of all the sinful reactions, and he can completely concentrate his mind on the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. So certainly, as we already know from the previous chapters and from the history of Srimad Bhagavatam, Maharaj Parikshit is no ordinary king or no ordinary soul. So immediately when this news spreads in different parts of the universe, all the great sages, the thinkers, and great people, they all begin to assemble at that place where Maharaj Parikshit is sitting down, and he's fasting unto death and on the bank of the Ganges. So long list of all the sages that have that appear here in the at that place is given in the 19th chapter. So if I read few of those names, like sage Atri, Bhrigu, Vasishtha, Vishwamitra, Angira, then Bharadwaj, Gautama, and even the great personality Narad Muni, they all actually come there. And what are they come here for? They've actually come here to witness this passing away of Maharaj Parikshit, because they know it's going to be very, very auspicious, and it's going to be something very special. It is something of like a spectacle to behold. So they all know, because of their transcendental vision, that something very auspicious and great is about to happen. So they all assemble here in this place. So although Maharaj Parikshit doesn't have the full purview of what's about to happen, but he actually says some very nice sweet words and welcomes all these sages who have come here. So one of the things he says is that indeed we are most grateful of all the indeed we are the most grateful of all the kings who are trained to get favors from the great souls. Generally you mean the sages, he's referring to the sages, consider royalty as refuse, to be rejected and left in a distant place. So he says that usually the sages, those who are fully dedicated to transcendence, they do not mingle with the royal people, the kings, the kshatriyas, and the ordinary people who just lead their course of life in a very intimate manner. They don't mingle with them very much. They may have some loose connection, but they are mostly dedicated to their own activities. But this is not the case in for Maharaj Parikshit. Although he's of the royal order, he's a king ruling the entire planet. The sages have actually specifically come here to witness his passing away. He goes on to say, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the controller of both transcendental and mundane worlds, has graciously overtaken me in the form of a Brahmana's curse. Due to my being too much attached to family life, the Lord, in order to save me, has appeared before me in such a way that out of fear I will detach myself from the world. So this is how a devotee who is dedicated to the lotus feet of Krishna, he actually embraces every situation in life, regardless of whether externally or superficially it seems to be good or bad. So the news of death, almost we can guarantee that almost everybody in this world will not take as good news, or will not take as something very pleasant, or will not really be looking forward to it very eagerly. But Maharaj Parikshit shows by his example that how he is thinking. He is thinking that I'm too much attached to family life, my kingdom, and so on, and in circumstantially, or out of my own shortcomings, I have insulted this, or I have insulted this Brahmana, and in return I have got this curse. So this curse he's seeing as the Lord's favor upon him, because unless sometimes there is a very strong impetus, which seems to be negative superficially, it is very difficult to detach from this world, unless something really strong and really completely shaking comes across. We don't take to the message of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam very seriously. So sometimes the Lord arranges for his devotees that he creates an extremely fearful situation, and out of that they become more eager to surrender and to detach themselves from the world. So Maharaj Parikshit shows that by example how he is thinking at that time. So then he prays to all these sages and the brahmanas. He says that I am a completely surrendered soul at this time. Let Mother Ganges, the representative of the Lord, also accept me in that way, for I have taken the lotus feet of the Lord into my heart. So he's even saying that we don't even have to wait for the 7 days for the snake bird to come and bite me. He says that I'm prepared. I've already taken the lotus feet of the Lord into my heart, and I'm also requesting Mother Ganges to give me her blessings. So let that snake bird or whatever magical thing that the Brahmana has created, let it come and bite me at once. I only desire that you all continue singing the deeds of Lord Vishnu. So you all go on chanting the glories of the Lord, and I am fully prepared. Let the snake bird or whatever that thing is going to come and bite me. I don't mind it coming and biting me at once. So this is the mood he is in. So you can see how Maharaj Parikshit is completely prepared to leave his body, is completely prepared to face death. It's not that only after hearing about the curse at once he could come into this mood, but he is in this mood right throughout. So it takes a lifelong of practice to come into this mood of leaving one's body in the right frame of mind. So Maharaj Parikshit is actually showing a very, very good example over here to us. So then he says, again offering obeisances to all of you, all the brahmanas, all the sages who have come here. If I were to again take my birth in this material world, I pray that I may have complete attachment to the unlimited Lord Krishna, and I may also get association of his devotees, and I may be able to have friendly relations with all living beings. So he sets the criteria of how we should pray. As devotees, we're trying to make our lives perfect. We're trying to become pure devotees and go back to the spiritual world. But sometimes devotees who are even further advanced, they don't even ask for liberation from the material world, or they don't even aspire to return to the spiritual world as such, because they know as long as they have association of the devotees and they are completely attached to the service of the Supreme Lord, this material world is actually non-different than the spiritual world. So the material world or spiritual world or spirit or matter, the difference is only comes about as a matter of realization. So in the topmost realization, there is actually no such thing as matter, because everything is ultimately the energy of the Lord. And when one sees that the energy is connected to the energetic, and one is situated in the mood of service, then it doesn't really matter where you are situated. It doesn't matter if we are in the so-called material world or if we are in the spiritual world. The service is that what really matters. So, and service can be rendered anywhere and everywhere in all circumstances. So that's another example of how one can pray, that is given by Maharaj Parikshit. So hearing these prayers and looking at the great example of Maharaj Parikshit sitting there at the bank of the Ganges, fasting until death, the demigods and all the celestial beings, they actually start showering flowers from the sky. There are celestial drums beaten, and there's some great music that's being played, and all the sages assembled there, they're actually celebrating this occasion. So nobody's morose or nobody is sad, crying or anything like that. They are embracing this situation as a very, very auspicious one, and they just find themselves to be very fortunate to be able to be present there. Okay, so this is how it this is how it goes. And then the sages assembled there, they already know that there's something like really wonderful is going to happen. So in response, one of them says that, O chief of the saintly kings of Pandu dynasty, who are strictly in the line of Lord Sri Krishna, and they already acknowledge the fact that it is not at all astonishing that you give up your throne, which is decorated with the helmets of many kings, to achieve eternal association with the personality of Godhead. So they know that this king is not ordinary. He is God conscious, Krishna conscious right from the beginning, and they are actually not astonished that he is so willingly giving up his kingdom, and he's eager to achieve the eternal association of the Lord. And then he says that now we shall wait for the foremost devotee of the Lord, Maharaj Parikshit, to return to the supreme planet, which is completely free from all mundane contamination and all kinds of lamentation. So they are all prepared to just wait there and for his departure, and see or witness for themselves how he returns back home, back to Godhead. So once all this is said, Maharaj Parikshit again asks them the question, "O trustworthy Brahmanas, I now ask you about my immediate duty." So he's about to die, and any time the snake bird will come and bite him. So it's the same question that is repeated from the first chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam. When the sages in Naimisharanya, they actually assemble with Sutta Goswami, they also ask a similar question, but the original question is from Maharaj Parikshit. He says, "Please, after proper deliberation, tell me of the unalloyed duty of everyone in all circumstance, and specifically of those who are just about to die." So everyone in this world is about to die. Isn't that true? As soon as we take birth, the clock starts clicking, and it's just a matter of time when everybody will again face death. So death is just the other side of the coin, of the same coin as birth. So as soon as there is birth, death is assured, and it's just a matter of time. So we don't know exactly when we face death, but it is sure that we all will face death. So Maharaj Parikshit is asking here this question, that what is the unalloyed duty of everyone in all circumstances. So it doesn't matter whether one is immediately about to die or about to die in some time. It doesn't matter about that factor, but what is the unalloyed duty of everyone in all circumstances? And this especially is relevant to those who are just about to die. So what we're supposed to do just before we're about to die, in other words, Maharaj Parikshit is saying that the same thing extends throughout our life. It's not that we are going to do something different like long before we die, and just before we die we're going to do something different. No, the two aspects of our duty and performance of activities are supposed to be consistent. Only then we can actually be situated in the right frame of mind at the time of death. So when he just says that out of practically almost out of nowhere, as if this was like a magic and some prearranged thing, at that time the powerful son of Vyasadeva, Shukadev Goswami, he actually arrives there. So Shukadev Goswami is just a 16-year-old boy, and he's just wandering around in the forest without any attachments. He is said to be he's described as not even belonging to any particular order or like a group of like any of the varna or ashrams. He's not even described to be belonging to any of those. He's completely situated in transcendence right from the time of his birth, and he's a really a great devotee of the Lord, who heard the Srimad Bhagavatam from none other than Srila Vyasadeva, and he is just wandering around, and his purpose is to come and arrive at this location where Maharaj Parikshit is fasting unto death, and come there and exactly do the right thing for him before he's about to die. So that right thing is to speak the Srimad Bhagavatam. So it's all like a transcendental plan arranged by the Lord. So the So Maharaj Parikshit gets angry, he curses the Brahmana, his son curses him, and he comes to the banks of the Ganges, and then all the sages arrive, and then Shukdev Goswami arrives. So it's like all the transcendental plan already set by the Lord, and it's like all the actors are coming together in the right place at the right time, and the whole purpose is for Shukdev, for Parikshit Maharaj to ask questions to Shukdev Goswami, and in response, Shukdev Goswami speaks the Srimad Bhagavatam. So here there are few verses that I'm going to talk about, and after that we'll pause for any questions or comments. So, so referring to Shukdev Goswami, Maharaj Parikshit says that, O Brahmana, by your mercy only you have sanctified us, making us like unto places of pilgrimage. All by your presence here as my guest. By your mercy, we who are but unworthy royalty become eligible to serve the devotee. So that's one thing he says. He also says that Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is very dear to the sons of King Pandu, has accepted me as one of those relatives just to please his great cousins and brothers. Otherwise, how is it that you have voluntarily appeared here, though you are moving incognito to the common man and are not visible to us who are on the verge of death? He says, you are the spiritual master of the great saints and devotees. I am therefore begging you to show the way of perfection for all persons, and especially for one who is about to die. Okay, so he requests Shukdev Goswami to show the path of one for one who is especially about to die. So the specific request he makes, and in response to this that Shukdev Goswami begins to narrate the Srimad Bhagavatam, and that's actually the 38th verse of the 19th chapter. So here he says, please let me know what a man should hear, chant, remember and worship, and also what he should not do. Please explain all this to me. So Maharaj Parikshit, he puts in very humble request to Shukdev Goswami, and specifically asks, what is it that I'm supposed to hear, chant, remember and worship, and what is it that we should not be doing? So it is in response to this that this is where the first canto ends. The first canto ends, and the second canto begins by the response from Shukdev Goswami, and that is actually the beginning of the narration of Srimad Bhagavatam proper. First canto is like an introduction, setting the scene for what is about to come. So the chapter ends with Suta Goswami, who is narrating all this, what has happened to the sages in Naimisharanya. And he says, the king thus spoke and questioned the sage using sweet language. Then the great and powerful personality, son of Vyasadeva, who knew the principles of religion, began his reply. So this is how the first canto ends, describing the entrance of Shukdev Goswami. So I tried to narrate this episode for several reasons. One is it gives us an idea about the mood that Maharaj Parikshit is situated in, how he receives the news of his death and how he reacts to it. And part of his reaction is that he takes shelter of the river Ganges, because the Ganges is very, very auspicious. Then he also receives all the great sages and saints who have appeared from different parts, different planets. And then by the arrangement of the Lord, Shukdev Goswami walks in, and when he sees Shukdev Goswami, he exactly knows that this is a special favor of the Lord, that he has sent Shukdev Goswami for me to hear from him. And then he exactly puts this question, what is it that I'm supposed to hear, chant, remember and worship now, especially that I'm about to die. And this is what sets the scene, and the actual response to this from Shukdev Goswami begins from the second canto. So I'll stop there. We can check if there are any questions or comments.
Yeah, if you have any comments or questions, you can put them in the chat in Zoom. So maybe Prabhu, one question from my side is, so there are so many scriptures in our Vedic literature, and which one is recommended? I mean, Bhagavad Gita definitely people know about. Srimad Bhagavatam people often confuse with Bhagavad Gita. What is the difference between Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam?
Okay, so Bhagavad Gita is actually a small section in the Bhishma Parva of the Mahabharata. This is part of Mahabharata where the great battle between Kurus and Pandavas is described, and just before the battle is about to begin, Arjuna is completely bewildered, and his charioteer, or the driver of the chariot, is Lord Krishna himself. So that's why he's also called Parthasarthi. So so Arjuna is confused, and he doesn't know whether he's now really supposed to go into this battle, kill all his relatives who are on the other side, and so on. So he's confused about his duty. So Lord Krishna's response to his questions on the battlefield is what constitutes Bhagavad Gita. So it is spoken by the Lord himself, and it's a very, very popular text, scripture that comes out of India, and it's practically known all throughout the world. So that's Bhagavad Gita. It's the conversation between Arjuna and Krishna. The Srimad Bhagavatam is a Purana. It is one of the Puranas. It's also called as Bhagavad Purana. So it is specifically dedicated to highlighting or describing the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and it also has narrations about various devotees throughout ages, and also various different incarnations of the Lord. So it describes many avatars of the Lord, like Vaman Dev is described in 5th canto, Narsim Dev is described in the 7th canto, and it all culminates in descriptions of the glories and pastimes of Lord Krishna in the 10th canto. So the Srimad Bhagavatam is a much bigger literature. It is 18,000 verses, but it is like a complete science of understanding God. So it's I would say it's like a much greater elaboration and in a lot more depth than Bhagavad Gita. So Bhagavad Gita is like the introduction, and Srimad Bhagavatam is like, it's like a big ocean, and it's meant for a lifetime of study. So is that okay? Does that answer the question?
Yeah, bro. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I think someone had a question. Harshal Prabhu had a question. Do we need any special qualification to start reading or keeping Srimad Bhagavatam at home?
No, not really. Well, I mean, the only qualification that helps, in fact, in the age of Kali, this ongoing age, everybody is so unqualified that if you go by qualification, then it's very hard to find a really qualified person to talk to and give them the the advantage of these scriptures, the Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam. So so there's no specific qualification as such, but if you really want to get a true benefit from these literatures, and if we want to make good use of time, then the only qualification I would say is to have some faith, even an ounce of faith in what is being described in these scriptures, that if we just if you just take it in that way, like approach it with faith and not with a doubting mind, I think that's a great qualification to get started. um, so yeah, unless one has even a little bit of faith, one wouldn't take it, or even want to keep it in their house or homes. But we find all the time that pious people, even if they haven't heard of the Bhagavatam before, just by hearing about what it is, they are inclined to take it, accept it, and keep it in their homes. So there we see definitely some level of faith. So I think that little bit of faith, if one has Shraddha, then I think that I would say that is like the only qualification. There's no other really qualification that's required to accept.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhu. So actually, we have a Go Matsya project from the temple to actually preserve this knowledge in Srimad Bhagavatam. So the website is gomatsya.com, and you can read about Srimad Bhagavatam. There are some multimedia experiences that you can that you can go through, and then you can get your own set as well by a small donation, and a set, and learn more. So I just wanted to share that. So Prabhu, I think now we will switch to another kirtan. Thank you so much for your
Okay,
enlightening
Prabhu.
thoughts, Prabhu.
Thank you.
Ramrati Prabhu, are you? Can you start your video?
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Vrinda, can you move to the left a little bit?
Is that better?
Is it better, Prabhu?
Yeah, very good.
Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jay, thank you very much. That was very nice Kirtan. I really enjoyed it. And I think now we can do Narsim Pranam. Or if you want to do Jai Radha Madhav, one small Jai Radha Madhav and maybe then Narsim Pranam, that will be nice. And then maybe can you bring the mic a little closer down? Just bring it down. Yeah, yeah, closer to you. Yeah, that's good.
Namaste Narashingaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narashingaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Narasingamadim Sharanam Prapade. Narasingamadim Sharanam Prapade. Tavakara Kamalavareenakam Adbhuta Shringam Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanubringam Keshavadita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadish Hare Jai Jagadish Hare Jai Jagadish Hare Tavakara Kamalavareenakam Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanubringa Keshavadita Jai Jagadish Keshavadita Hari Rupa Jai Jagadish Hare Jai Jagadish Hare Jai Jagadish Hare Keshavadita Hari Rupa Jai Jagadish Hare Jai Jagadish Hare Jai Jagadish Hare Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha Jaya Narahari Lakshmi Narasimha Jaya Narahari Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha Jaya Narahari Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha Jaya Narahari Jaya Bhakta Pralay Jaya Bhakta Pralay Bhakta Pralay Jaya 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 Bhakta Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada,
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada,
Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Gurudev, Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Gurudev,
Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev.
Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol.
Jai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Jai Gaura Hari Bol.
Nrsimhadev Bhagwan ki,
Jai,
Prahlad Maharaj ki,
Jai,
Gaur Premanande.
Hari Hari Bol.
Thank you so much, Ramrati Prabhu, Vrinda, Gora, and Mataji for such an enthusiastic kirtan. And I think we are at the end of our program. So, if anyone, hopefully you like the program, and we would also like to thank Harshal Prabhu for organizing this and contacting his friends for attending this program. If you would like to do this, once in a while, that's a great idea. It brings in a lot of positivity and energy and auspiciousness. And there are many occasions for which you can do it, for birthday, anniversaries, or your loved ones who have passed away, their annual bereavement ceremony. We can do that as well. We just did one yesterday. If you're buying a house, people are buying a lot of houses nowadays, and the housing market cannot keep up with the demand. So if you are one of those, please consider doing joyous, sharing the joy with everyone. And you can visit ISKCON Silicon Valley website, and it has a project page on Kirtan and Katha service, so you can get in touch through that. Thank you very much once again. Hare Krishna. We are ending the broadcast now.